Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for tuning in. John Kelly, profiler here, and welcome. Welcome to today's show. It's going to be a very interesting show. Might be a little bit longer. Please try and hang in there. We're going to try and bring some information your way on the murder of the CEO, Brian Thompson, of United Healthcare in Manhattan yesterday. I mean, this was a blatant murder. We certainly send our condolences out to his family and friends. Horrible situation. But he was assassinated, as far as I'm concerned, when he was on his way to his business conference meeting. And today's show is going to be focused on the motive. We're going to focus in on the motive. Are we going to be talking about revenge or money? We'd like your feedback. We'd like your comments. We'd like to know what you think. What's the reason that this hitman or this killer, however you want to look at him, decided to kill Mr. Thompson right in New York City, Manhattan, in front of thousands of people and cameras? Okay, so we'd like your feedback on that. And today, my producer, Leah, is going to be asking me questions because there's so much to this. I want her to question me, and I want to come back with answers that we feel are appropriate, because there is much more to this case than you realize. And this goes back a ways too, and it has not been brought out by any other media that I know of. But we've dug into this. We've done a deep dive into this. So we're going to have some added information for you. Thank you so much. And Leah, it's off to you. Let's go.
Hey, John. Thanks for having me on here.
Sure.
All right. So you kind of explained it a little bit, but can you just go over a bit about what Mr. Thompson was doing the morning he was assassinated and where he was going and what exactly happened with the shooter?
Yeah, Brian Thompson was going to a meeting at the Hilton Hotel in Manhattan. He actually didn't stay there. He stayed at another hotel. So he was walking from the other hotel that he stayed at over to the Hilton. So on his way over, we have this assassin, waiting for him. Now, how he knew he was going to be there, I'm not sure. But to be honest with you, it was a pretty big conference for the company. So maybe it was just publicized enough in different articles, probably financial articles. So he probably felt for sure that, Thompson was going to end up going here. My wonder is how he knew he'd be at the other hotel and not at the Hilton and staying at the Hilton where the conference was taking place. But he knew he was going to be coming across the street, which he did. So the assassin, the killer, lies in wait. So Thompson gets past him. The killer jumps out and he starts shooting Thompson. Now, at that point in time, Thompson's back is toward the killer. It's his back facing the killer. So the killer's actually shooting at the back of him. From what we understand, he hit him in the back, he hit him in the leg. All right. At different points through the shooting, the gun seemed to jam. The killer on the walk was able to unjam it and fire off another shell. Okay. This is very interesting to me because one part of it looks really sophisticated. Looks like we see a considerable amount of sophistication in the way the killer was prepared to ambush Brian Thompson, when he was on his way over from the hotel. Okay. There was sophistication here because this guy had to lay it all out. He had to plot it all out. He had to take into consideration all the cameras in the area. He had to take into consideration where he was in Manhattan. And of course, he had to take into consideration what he was going to do after he killed Brian Thompson. So he's going to be having to make an escape, and that escape is going to have to be plotted and planned out, which he did do. He took off down the street, got down so far, hopped on a motorbike, one of these e-bikes from what I understand, and then went into the park, Okay, so he goes into the park and, then he disappears. He's not seen by any other cameras after entering Central Park. So we don't know exactly where he went and what happened after that. But this was a brazen, daring assassination or hit, however you want to look at it. And this is somebody who's had some training. There's no question about it. They've had some training. Um, but I'll let you go from there.
Yeah.
And one other thing I wanted to bring up too, but we'll get into that, and that's in why there, why that particular place, why that particular conference. We're going to get into that because there's much more to this as far as motive goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, John, you're leading me right into the next question. So I was going to ask you what we know about this killer so far, and do you think he scoped out this area beforehand? What was his planning going into this assassination?
Well, like I said, I mean, he really had to put a lot of time into scoping it out. I mean, again, you got to understand this place is covered with cameras. I mean, there's cameras all over this section of New York. In fact, all over Manhattan. I mean, it's loaded with cameras. Plus, you have witnesses. Plus, you have the guy supposedly going into Starbucks and buying coffee and buying some bars, I think protein bars or whatever. Okay. So, this is very well thought out and very planned. And when I say very well thought out and very planned, I'm talking about the ambush itself and the escape. Okay. Now, when it comes to handling the weapon, that's a different story because I'm not quite sure how proficient he is with weapons. Certainly, he was proficient enough and trained enough to be able to pull it off and do the deed. But the bottom line is, I mean, he had an extended weapon, and the reason for that is because there was a suppressor on it. A lot of people like to call them silencers, but it was a suppressor and it was hanging out. And that gave that 9mm pistol. This is interesting too. 9mm pistol. It gave it a large barrel. Now, what a lot of people may not know is the longer the barrel, the less sound, usually. Okay. And depending on the ammunition, it can be less sound even more, plus with the suppressor on there. So this guy was really not interested in drawing attention to people hearing shots being fired. You know what I mean? So he scoped it out well, and he was really on his game at that point in time up to the ambush and then his exit, his getaway.
Yeah. Okay, so now what do you think about the cameras in the area? Because you mentioned it earlier. This man's in Manhattan. There's cameras everywhere. He went to the Starbucks and people are seeing him everywhere. What does that say about him? What do you think?
I think this guy had it so well planned out that he realized there were cameras there and he took that all into consideration. And the way he looked yesterday and in those cameras and those shots is not really the way he looks. Okay. He has disguised himself in some which way, shape, or form. This man is not stupid. Right. This man knows he's in front of these cameras. He's going to be seen on camera. So I'm sure he has done things to alter his looks. And if you were to see him today, he would probably look nothing like the guy that did the deed yesterday, that did the killings yesterday. I mean, because again, that's where I see the sophistication more than anything else in the planning, and the getaway, and knowing he's going to be seen. And I believe he's a pretty visually um, in, invested person. What I mean by that, that's his probably, I can't say definitely, but probably his primary intake sense. And, you know, he is not going to allow himself to be perfectly seen in those cameras. So there's some part of him that is a disguise, and it's going to be kind of just to throw people off in a way. I mean, we've seen it before. These guys can look really differently depending on the next day or days or months or even years. I mean, take a look, when we're looking at Richard Allen up in Delphi, how he changed his appearance, dressed one way and then over the years changed his hair, everything. I mean, to look, kind of completely different than what he looked like at that particular time, when he killed those girls. So this guy definitely is a smart dude in a lot of respects. And, we're going to have to wait and see what mistakes he made. Now, the other thing, and I'll let you go. Go ahead. Let me answer your questions.
Yeah, no problem, John, no problem. You're on a roll there. So we've talked about what happened. We talked about the shooter a bit more here. So can you tell me more about the motives? We have revenge or money. What could this guy be thinking either way? Can you tell me more?
Yeah, I mean, my primary concern is revenge. Okay, so what would revenge cover? Well, here's something that's not being, I haven't seen out there in the news, and it should be out there. Back in October, Reuters, printed a piece on a hack that took place at United Healthcare. And that was a major, major hack. I think they mentioned like 100 million people, were in the system and their personal information was hacked. Okay. And that really caused a lot of problems, a lot of problems. Not only do you have people's personal information being gone, but then you have to deal with everything else that went on over that hack. Okay. You know, when you take a look at how this affected people, again, it's not only the personal information, but there was widespread disruption in claims that were being processed for people that were in the insurance system, because they were ill. Okay. And they had medical problems, psychological problems, whether it had to do with counseling on an outpatient basis, or whether it had to do with the more intensive physical problems and even surgery on an inpatient basis. So it created a lot of problems because the processing of these claims caused a problem and took a while to process. Now, if you're seeing a healthcare provider and he's getting paid, there's no problem with the claim, then there's no problem, right? So the healthcare provider continues to give treatment, he continues to get paid, and he continues to move forward with you. However, if a healthcare provider or business is not getting paid and there's a problem with their cash flow, I mean, this can create major problems. Now, I happen to know some people that this affected, okay? I mean, companies that this affected. And some companies went out of business, smaller companies, smaller counseling centers, let's say, that went out of business because there was disruption, in this claims processing. I mean, everything is set up to get paid in so many days. So when there's a problem with the processing, a problem with the system, healthcare providers are not getting paid or patients aren't getting checks. That's one piece of it where there could be some kind of revenge focus. And again, that was a major, major hack of United Healthcare. It was back in February. The hack took place in February of 24, but it really wasn't out there and publicized and picked up a lot by the news. I don't know if a lot of people even know about it. Certainly, it's not being brought out now, but I really think this can be a contributing factor to all of this. I only saw it being reported by Reuters News, and October 25th. Okay. So, I mean, if you have people not getting paid, if you have patients that can't get treatment because there's a problem with all these claims being processed, and that's because of, the hack that took place at United Healthcare. Now you're going to have people really getting angry, really getting upset. I mean, they're paying for this insurance, and their insurance is supposed to pay their providers, and now we're having some problems here. Okay. So, and I'm not saying United Healthcare is totally to blame for this. I mean, they were hacked, but United Healthcare services other insurance companies as well. I mean, there's no question about it. So, they help with payments in a lot of different respects. Now, the other thing, not only did you have this disruption there, but what about the patients themselves that needed serious medical help and they could not get coverage for whatever reason? And this may have nothing to do with the hack, but just people or a person or a person's family member who really was denied benefits, denied treatment. He blames United Healthcare. He goes to the top with his blame. He goes after the CEO. Okay. I could see that also being revenge motivated. All right. Because, you're really upset. Your loved one needs care. For whatever reason, you're being denied benefits, being denied care. It equals being denied care. And you're mad at this insurance company that you've been paying. You don't want to hear about being hacked or glitches or, a processing and a problem with processing, payments. You want your loved one treated. Okay. So, bottom line, this guy, I believe that assassinated Brian Thompson, this killer is extremely enraged, was extremely enraged. And it could be personal. It could be him. Maybe he needed treatment. Okay. Maybe he has an incurable disease and he couldn't get his treatment. Maybe it's just him. Maybe it's just about him. We don't know. We have to wait and find out. And hopefully, the cops can answer some of these questions. Then the other thing you look at is the money angle. How did the money angle, if there is a money angle, how did that get involved here? We don't know. Was this guy paid killer? I don't know. We don't know yet. Okay. We're just looking at which routes that this investigation can take. Okay. I believe it was either revenge or it was for money. I don't believe any kind of, lovers triangle, murder kind of story thing. I mean, I'm not getting into that. Okay. This I really believe was about revenge. I'd say 80% of me believes revenge, 20% of me believes that, it was about money. But I would like our audience to give us feedback on this. I'd like to hear what they think. Why do they think this guy rubbed them out? I mean, this guy, took him right out. I mean, no questions about it. He just waited for him. He showed up and he killed him. This guy had a cup of coffee, something to eat while he was waiting. Then Brian Thompson shows up and he gets whacked. They hit him. He hit him, and Brian Thompson is dead today. Okay, so we've got to find out what's going on there and what the motive is. Did I answer everything, or is there a part of your question I'm missing?
Oh yeah, you got it. You covered the revenge and the money there. So John, can you tell me what kind of message you would be trying to send? What's the statement here?
Well, I'll tell you, that's interesting because there was shell casings found on the ground, all right, with writing on them. Again, that leads me back to his primary intake sense, which is visual. He knew when he fired those rounds off that those shell casings were going to land on the ground and the cops were going to find them. No doubt in my mind. That's why he had this written message on. Okay. And on the shell casings, and I was talking about a message yesterday, but that's something else we'll back into here. On those shell casings that he found was deny, defend, depose. Deny, defend, depose. To me, like depose, I look at deposition, defend myself in court or whatever, and oppose, whatever that has, or what meaning in this man's mind, I don't know. But again, deny, defend, depose, that's what was in his mind, right? Deny, defend, depose. Kind of legal terms in a way. Did this guy really try to go take a legal route first before he decided to go all the way into and get revenge through murder? Did he try legally to try and get the company to cover some kind of benefits? Was he a disgruntled employee that was fired and blamed it on the CEO, and wanted to take some legal action, and it didn't work out well for him or whatever? I mean, so again, even if it was a disgruntled employee, it would fall under revenge. Okay, so I think revenge covers a lot of ground here. I think revenge casts a wide net as far as motive goes. Money, I don't see the guy being a paid hitman or professional killer. And the reason for that is because he did not shoot Brian Thompson in the head. A hitman, a professional killer, a man that is paid to kill somebody has got to complete his job. Okay. And that means he's got to make sure that the victim is dead, that the man he's been paid to kill is dead. Now, shooting him in the leg, shooting him in the back, he's laying on the ground. I think the bullet went through the back and into the heart. I am not sure. I only know of him getting shot in the leg and the back. I don't know. There's been nothing said about him being shot in the head or the neck or anything like that, but that the bullet went through his heart. Now, a hitman isn't going to take a chance, and a professional hitman isn't going to take a chance and try to kill somebody by shooting him in the leg and the back. I mean, they're going to be one up close and personal, and probably one or two to the head. I mean, they're going to want to make sure their job is done in full, so they get paid in full. I mean, that's the way they operate, and certainly a normal kind of hitter or hitman is not going to, do this in Manhattan in front of everybody. I mean, it's just and with all the cameras and everything that are out there today, I mean, it's just not what they usually do. It's been done, but it's not what they usually do. And especially, with a high profile guy like this, but, we'll see. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So, John, what are the effects of this statement, on the company, just in general? What kind of impact is this going to have?
Well, I think it adds into the message. And I think the message, him being killed at an investors conference. Now, keep in mind, these are people that are investors in the company. It's an investors conference. They're trying to get people to invest in the company, right? So this killer is adding insult to injury. That's why, again, that backs up the whole, revenge theory, because now he's killed him, but he's killed him right outside. That's why this was so well planned, of a meeting that's going to take place of investors conference. And this guy obviously hates the insurance company, really has a lot of rage and anger towards the insurance company for whatever reason. And again, I think it has to do with, benefits in some way for somebody that were denied or whatever, but also could be somebody really disgruntled. But this person was sending a message and making a statement. He was making a statement, and this statement, I think he wanted, and we'll hear more on this. He wanted to permeate. He wanted it to permeate right through to all the other insurance companies too. Listen, if you're going to deny us benefits, if you're going to deny people benefits, right, and people are going to be killed, right, or not killed, but people are going to die because they're not able to get their benefits or get their payments or whatever, and it's going to be some kind of an insurance problem, you know, this is what could possibly happen. I think he was sending a message to the whole insurance industry, right? Because this was the perfect place. And how many investors are jumping out of their seats to invest in a company when the CEO just got murdered right out front of the conference? Okay. Now, this guy was a very, very successful CEO. I mean, he took United Healthcare to where they're at. And if you look at the way the stock has performed with United Healthcare, it has performed very, very well recently, not too long ago. I think made a new high. Okay. So this guy, if he had an axe to grind over having benefits denied or losing a loved one or having a personal medical problem himself, if he had an axe to grind with that and he sees this company stock just going up, that means people have faith in the company and are buying the company. It's probably blowing his mind. He's probably blowing his mind. Plus, again, how much attention did the news give to the hack that took place back in February of 24? See, this could be eating this guy alive, right? With resentment, because how could you not be looking at what happened because of this hack? And it's not my fault. I'm just am a customer of the insurance company, right? I mean, so I think that has a lot to do with it. And I think that whole glitch, the hack caused all that those payment processing problems, which supposedly by now is pretty much taken care of. Although I've talked to a couple people who haven't gotten paid all of it. Okay. People I know in the field. And, the bottom line is that, somebody can get really, really enrageful. And especially if they get to a point where they believe they don't care if they live or die, because then you're dealing with the most dangerous person on the planet. When a person doesn't care anymore, and I'm going out and I'm gonna kill this guy, and I don't care if I get caught. I don't care if I get killed. You know, I'll give my life. I'll give my life to make a statement and send a message. That this is wrong. This managed care kind of managed cost kind of treatment is absolutely wrong. And people are getting hurt, okay, by this type of thinking or whatever. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. And we've put some interesting stuff out there with this too. So we'll see. So go ahead, Liv.
Okay, yeah. So John, you just mentioned managed care. What
Mhm.
can you explain what that means? Like with the
Well,
company?
managed care is usually where the insurance company pretty much has a network and pretty much keeps an eye on the treatment you're getting. And a lot of us used to say, well, it's not only managed, they call it managed care, but it's really managed cost because they're keeping an eye on how much is being spent. So they've opened up their own in-network for different clients or patients to use. And usually their in-network is more of a discounted network. In other words, your out of network cost, and most people that are watching this understand what I'm talking about. They're out of network costs to go to somebody that's private and somebody that may have a great reputation and who won't go in network if they don't need to work at a discounted price. So they're going to charge out of network prices, and the insurance company has to pay that. Well, the insurance company would prefer if you're being seen in network, because in network, usually they have a better rate. They're getting a better rate from the clinicians or doctors or healthcare providers that are seeing you. So that's how it's managed. All right. I'd like to think it's managed care focused on people's health, but for a long time we've kind of seen, some situations where it's become managed cost, and for instance, I'll give you an example. Somebody could be seeing a counselor for their alcoholism or whatever, right? So they could be seeing a counselor for their alcoholism, and you know, um, the way managed care used to work, I don't know how it works now, is that you get so many visits, and after so many visits, then you had to talk to one of the gatekeepers or clinicians at the managed care company, and they would in fact talk to you about if you need another 8 more visits for this client, or can you discharge this client now. There's some magic number somewhere, I don't know what it is, when you're in that type of situation where they'll give you maybe 10. Maybe they'll let you continue to see the client, but usually it is managed to a point. And like I said, um, like an alcoholic coming for treatment, and then after so many visits, the managed care company says, "Well, it sounds like you're not making any more progress with them. So why don't you just have them go to AA?" I mean, that has been done. Okay. Now, why? AA is free. Alcoholics Anonymous is free. They don't have to pay anybody, right? Now, this is not a common situation, but it has happened that I know of. Now, if I know of it, there's probably more I don't know of. So the point I'm trying to make is, you know, how much is really caring, for the patients, and how much is really uh, attributed to cost factor, managed cost versus managed care. But the name we got years ago when it all started was managed care. And obviously, there's a lot of people that are upset with insurance companies and the care they've gotten from insurance companies. So,
Yeah. Yeah, so great point, John. Like, can you tell me more, like, what your thoughts are? Just looking up United Healthcare, I mean, they're not getting great reviews,
oh
places.
man, they're getting slammed.
What are people saying about them, and then also about, the CEO's death? What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, there's really people out there that sadly cheering his death. I mean, like, to hell with him. I mean, there's really a lot of rage and anger right now going on. That was sparked by his assassination. Then you wonder if the assassin, the killer, accomplished his goal to create this animosity towards the insurance company, and have a wider look now from the media and everybody else into the insurance company to see what all this was about and what's going on. Okay. um you just have to wonder about that. It's just sad that this has gotten to this point where you have this man being assassinated who has a family and everything, and if some people out there cheerleading his death.
Still a person, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, John. So kind of wrapping it up here. How can this guy be caught? What would you be looking at?
Well, I think the bottom line is what I'd be looking at what happened before going back. And I'd go back at least a year, and I'd look at people that were complaining uh, and being upset that they were denied benefits or denied treatment for some reason. And this guy seems like the type of guy that would send in letters, would go online and bash the insurance company, His rage and anger would be building up. It'd be coming out in different ways. I think through letters, online. I think if it was for himself or a loved one, he may have appealed it. He may have appealed it many times over as much as he can. That's where I think these words, defend, deny, depose, you know, I mean, I could see appeals turning into litigation, you know, if there was a loved one, hanging out there that, is really in bad shape or has died because he believes they did not get the treatment that they were supposed to get and that was paid for in a timely manner. I mean, there's something really that really drove this guy. So I believe he'd be getting the word out. He probably talked about it to his friends about how bad the insurance company was, how the insurance company was wrong, how they wouldn't take care of him or his loved one. I mean, and he would spew on about that. I mean, I think that would be, telltale signs, and I'll guarantee the cops are probably looking at that too, you know. But with all that's taken place, over the last year or so and the hack and everything, you just wonder how many appeals or how many complaints have been lodged. I mean, he probably be a big complainer to the Securities and Exchange Commission that this company, United Healthcare, wasn't doing what he thought they should do, right? I mean, so I don't know. I mean, this is all conjecture, but this is one really, really angry guy that went out of his way to kill the CEO of a major, major insurance company in broad daylight in Manhattan in view of thousands of cameras on a day that was his investors conference day, and where he would try to make a big splash to get more people to invest in the company, And when you're looking at the company, the other thing you have to understand is the stock. I mean, again, the company is doing very well, very, very well. So I don't think investors would have a problem in investing in it. But with the CEO, which is usually a major part of a company and why it's doing well, being assassinated right outside on the doorstep that you're going to be walking in to go into the conference, I don't know. I don't know if that'll damage the stock, or if this guy's intentions were to open up a window for people and the powers to be to look in to see if how legitimate this insurance company's intentions and actions were. I don't know what his motive was. So I'm saying in it, revenge or money. Again, we cannot say it wasn't a paid hitman, although I don't think so. Could be. I don't think so. But it could be. And the other thing is disgruntled employee. That would be money too. Lost their livelihood or whatever because of the company and really upset over it. So that could be something else that could have set this guy off. And it could be totally about him and his narcissism, and he shouldn't have been fired, and he's going to take revenge, and he's brought legal suits or tried to get legal with the company to get money he felt was doing owe him for working there. Could be just a really disgruntled employee. That would fall into the money category. but it's revenge your money. You know, we have love or lovers or loving triangle, if you will. I don't think involved in this, you know, as far as the murder goes. I could be wrong. We'll wait and see. I want to know what the audience thinks. I want to know what the people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's all I got for you today, John. Yeah, let's hear what people have to say about this.
I think we covered quite a bit here. You know, again, to me, it looks like sending a message. I mean, why drop those shells on the ground without that written on them? Or is that a ruse too? I mean, you gotta have the detectives follow the information. But you're right. We've done enough for today. Tomorrow's another day. We're going to stay on top of this case. To our audience, I can't thank you enough for joining. We truly, truly appreciate you. We truly appreciate your comments. Please comment on this. We want to know what you think. Join the hunt. Let's try and catch this guy. In the meantime, as you can see, it's a very dangerous world out there. As I always say, stay vigilant, stay on your toes, know where you're at. Most importantly, take care of yourself, and we'll see you next time. God bless.
God, see you.
Take care, Leah. Thanks. Great work.